Hello everyone. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all who are watching this event from different parts of the world. It's my privilege to welcome you all to the Hac'KP Summit and Awards 2021. Myself, Adarsh Nair. I am one of the members of the Hac'KP 2021 core team.
Mr. Adarsh Nair serves as the Head of Information Security at UST. In addition to being the Head of Information Security, he is also an acclaimed keynote speaker, Fellow of Information Privacy, author, and information security strategist. In his career span of over a decade, he has attained expertise in information security, governance risk and compliance, business continuity, data privacy, ethical hacking, and a wide range of vulnerabilities and threats identification and mitigation. He has received several awards and recognitions for his work in the cybersecurity sphere, including being recognized by the Honorable Chief Minister of Kerala for his outstanding contribution in the field of cybersecurity through Cyberdome, as well as the top contributor recognition from Kerala State Police Chief and Hall of Fame from Google. At UST, he is well known for his expertise in the cybersecurity space and drives an entire team to ensure information security compliance across UST. He is voluntarily serving in the Kerala Police Cyberdome as Deputy Commander honorary positions. Apart from that, he also is the co-leader of Avast Kerala, advisory board member of EC Council, and so on. He has upgraded his knowledge from time to time with various memberships, trainings, and certifications including CISSP, CIPM, CIPPE, OSCP, and so on. He is also a well-known author and has published two books, The Infodemic and the Dark Web Demystified, and two journal papers in IEEE and ACM. It's our pleasure to welcome Mr. Adarsh Nair as a host of the exclusive calling show Dark Web Demystified.
As you all know, after the tremendous success of Hac'KP 2020, Kerala Police is organizing the fifth edition of its international hackathon series Hac'KP 2021 with the theme Demystifying the Dark Web. We have started this journey on 15th March 2021 with more than 150 participants from across the globe. Unlike the previous years, this time we focused on a single theme intended to build a single solution that can assist the law enforcement agencies in dealing with the crimes associated with dark web. 28 highly talented participants were qualified for the final phase of the hackathon. With the guidance of Hac'KP member community, they have built a solid solution that addresses the challenges in the investigation and monitoring related to dark web. Let me take you through the important milestones of Hac'KP 2021.
Kerala Police Hac'KP, the annual hackathon which Kerala Police conducts every year. And this year, we are coming with a very unique theme of demystifying the dark web. This fifth edition of the Police Hackathon Hac'KP that we are conducting is on a very different concept that we have designed. Generally, we have teams coming together, vying with each other and winning a lot of prizes. But this time we have come with a totally different concept of making a very solid and single solution for handling the dark web. This competition is basically a competition of individuals, where individuals come in and they work together with equally skilled people and devise a software or a solution to demystify the dark web.
It is not the question of who is winning and who is, everybody is a winner because everybody comes out with an idea. The jury and other people, they just to matter of encouragement say 1, 2, 3 and give them some cash prize and other goodies, etc. But that doesn't mean that you are a loser. Everyone here is a winner. So all my best wishes.
We started the hackathon on the theme demystifying the dark net, which is one of the major areas of crime now. After all the work they have done, after all their contributors that has come in from all these 160 participants, we are actually selecting 28 candidates to the final round who will be building up the final product.
വരുന്ന ഹാക്പി 2021 ഓൺലൈൻ ഹാക്കത്തോണിന്റെ ഭാഗമായി വികസിപ്പിക്കുന്ന ഡാർക്ക് നെറ്റ് സർവലൻസ് പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമായ ഗ്രാഫ്നെലിന്റെ ലോഗോ പ്രകാശനമാണ്. ലോഗോ പ്രകാശനത്തിനായി ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട മുഖ്യമന്ത്രിയെ ക്ഷണിക്കുന്നു.
Before getting into the call-in show, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners for their support. We have Paytm Payments Bank as our platinum partner, Beagle Security as our technology partner, Cloud4C as our cloud partner, Mashup Stack as our knowledge partner, Ecoloop 360 as our sustainability partner, and Federal Bank, SBI, Canara Bank and ICICI as our banking partners. Our community partners include ICMEC, OWASP, Vices India affiliate, ASRG, ISACA Trivandrum chapter, NULCON, GTech ATFG and AWS User Group Kochi. We are also thankful for our supporters BSafe, CloudSec and vConsole. Thank you all for your association with HackP 2021. Today is a very special and proud day for Kerala Police. As we all know, Kerala Police is one of the top tech-savvy forces in the country and became a reference model for many other law enforcement agencies across the globe. Today we all witnessed the transformation of our hackathon objectives to a highly demanded solution, Grapnel 1.0. We strongly believe that Grapnel is going to change the current perspective in preventing and mitigating the crimes associated with dark web. Absolutely, this is the need of the hour and Grapnel 1.0 is just the beginning. Without any further delay, let's get into the exclusive call-in show, Dark Web Demystified. The dark web is the darkest portion of the internet, in which the contents are deliberately hidden to maintain secrecy and privacy. Sometimes it is also known as the evil twin of internet. Dark web pages are not indexed to search engines and remain anonymous. When we want to see particular objects in a dark room, we need the help of a light source, right? Similarly, we need the aid of specialized browsers like Tor to access pages on the dark web. There are many crimes associated with the dark web, and law enforcement agencies across the globe face challenges in tackling those crimes. Today, we have 4 eminent personalities who are associating with Kerala Police in various cybersecurity related initiatives. They have tremendous experience in dealing with dark web related challenges. In the next 1 hour, we would hear their perspectives on demystification of the dark web. First, it's my privilege to welcome Sri Manoj Abraham IPS, Additional Director General of Police and the Nodal Officer of Kerala Police Cyberdome, the person who doesn't need any introduction, the mastermind behind many initiatives like Cyberdome, Cocoon, HackP and so on. Let's listen to a quick introduction and come back.
Sri Manoj Abraham IPS is the Additional Director General of Police. he has the additional charge of ADGP, State Crime Records Bureau, and Nodal Officer of Cyberdome. His areas of specialization include key innovation mentoring, crisis management, law enforcement, cybercrime investigation, strategic planning, etc. He is a cybersecurity specialist who has worked for integrating technology with policing and is a sought-after speaker in various aspects of cybersecurity, traffic innovation, and community policing. He has won numerous national and international awards in areas of cybersecurity, social policing, and traffic schemes. He is the architect of Kerala Police Cyberdome, a PPP initiative in cybersecurity, and the man behind 𝐒𝐿 International Cybersecurity Conference, Hac'KP, CCSC, Drone Forensic Lab, and so on. He is also an expert in community policing initiatives and traffic reforms and has received many awards like the Police Medal for Meritorious Service from the Honorable President of India and Community Policing Award, Significant Achievement Award, Man of the Decade Award by People's Forum of Kochi, and Technology Leadership Award by Kerala Management Association. Apart from this, he has also co-edited the book Global Community Policing: Problems and Prospects, published by CRC Press. We take this as an honor to welcome Sri Manoj Abraham, ADGP Kerala Police, to the Hac'KP Summit and Awards 2021 and the call-in show Dark Web Demystified.
So welcome, sir, to the Hac'KP 2021 call-in show. We are delighted to have you here today for this discussion. Next, I am happy to invite Mr. Sunil Varki, Chief Technology Officer at Forescout Technologies Inc. He is associated with Kerala Police Cyberdome since its inception. We will come back after a brief introduction of Mr. Sunil Varki.
Mr. Sunil Varki is Chief Technology Officer at Forescout Technologies Inc. He has over 26 years of leadership experience specialized in information and cybersecurity with large corporates in banking, telecom, ITES, software, and manufacturing in Middle East, US, and India. Before joining Forescout Technologies, he led Global Head of Cybersecurity Assessment and Testing Program at HSBC. In his global professional experience, he has served leadership roles at companies such as Symantec in the role of Chief Technology Officer and Security Strategist. At Wipro, he was a fellow and served a stint of 6 years as Global CISO, and in Idea Cellular, he led the cybersecurity and privacy teams. He is voluntarily serving as the Commander and Cybersecurity Advisor for Kerala Police Cyberdome. He is also a Security Advisory Board member for different organizations like IIIT Delhi, CSO Forum India, Cisco, McAfee, Blue Coat, IAPP, and so on. He has upgraded his knowledge from time to time with various memberships, trainings, and certifications including CISSP, CISA, CRISC, Six Sigma Green Belt, and so on. Few of his patent applications are in considerations at various patent offices. He is also honored and awarded as a Distinguished Alumni Fellow, Distinguished Member of Technical Staff, Best People Manager, and Security Leader of the Year. Mr. Sunil is also well known for his various publications about topics related to CISO, governance, protection, APTs, etc. We gladly take this opportunity in welcoming Mr. Sunil Varki to the Hac'KP Summit and Awards 2021 and the call-in show Dark Web Demystified.
Welcome, Sunil, to the Hac'KP 2021 call-in show. It's our honor to host you here at Hac'KP Summit and Awards 2021.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to welcome Mr. Vikram Thakur, Technical Director at Symantec. He is an expert in the threat intelligence domain, especially in the dark web intelligence. Let's listen a brief introduction of Mr. Vikram Thakur.
Mr. Vikram Thakur is the Technical Director at Symantec, a division of Broadcom. He has held multiple roles over a decade with Symantec, all of which encompassed researching, analyzing, and responding to online threats to better protect end users. He leads a global team of analysts investigating, researching, and compiling actionable intelligence from the multitude of cyber attacks happening every single day. He also worked as a senior security researcher at Microsoft, researching, generating threat intelligence and disrupted threats against Microsoft customers. He also represented Symantec as a technical and intelligence expert in law enforcement engagements, media, public and private industry conferences, research working groups, as well as customer engagements for a number of years. During his career span of over 2 decades, he has found and architected a global threat intelligence team investigating the highest profile malware attacks people heard and didn't publicly hear about. In addition, he liaises such research and findings with global law enforcement agencies and industry partners with the intention of bringing cyber criminals to justice and mitigating online risk for end users. It's with great pleasure and privilege that we welcome Mr. Vikram Thakur to the Hac'KP Summit and Awards 2021 and the call-in show Dark Web Demystified.
Welcome, Mr. Vikram, to the Hac'KP 2021 call-in show. Thank you for joining with us in Hac'KP Summit and Awards 2021.
Thank you for having me. Quite an honor. Yeah.
Next, I'm glad to welcome Mr. Muslim Kausar, the co-founder and head of products and technology at Volant Cybersecurity. He is an expert in the cybersecurity domain, especially in the threat intelligence. Over to the introduction.
Mr. Muslim Kausar is the co-founder and head of products and technology at Volant Cybersecurity. Previously, he was based in Malaysia, where he led the information security consulting practice for network security solutions. He has over 20 years of information security experience with core focus on cyber threat intelligence, cyber risk management, and cyber security consulting. Before Volant, he worked at FireEye, US-listed cybersecurity firm, where he headed their cyber threat intelligence research team. He also worked at Eyesight Partners, later acquired by FireEye, as one of the initial employees and set up their cyber threat intelligence research team from scratch. During his career, he has worked towards providing physical, electronic, and human intelligence services and also reliable and actionable threat intelligence. He has worked in proactively counteracting all phases of criminal electronic and physical attacks against digital assets. He also manages and delivers information security and networking projects and handles process management activities. He holds certifications like CISSP and is also credited with establishing national level cert and consulting for various corporate CSIRPs. We take this as our privilege to welcome Mr. Muslim Kausar to the Hac'KP Summit and Awards 2021 and the call-in show Dark Web Demystified.
Welcome, Mr. Muslim, to the Hac'KP 2021 call-in show. We are so happy to have you here as our guest.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Adarsh, for inviting us.
Last year, Kerala Police had organized Hac'KP 2020 with the theme Code the Future of Policing. As an outcome, many solutions have been developed that address various problems that the law enforcement agencies are facing. Unlike the previous editions, this year, Hac'KP 2021 focuses on a particular problem and aims to build a single solution that can help the law enforcement agencies to tackle the crimes associated with dark web. Sir, we would love to hear from you about the real motivation behind organizing Hac'KP 2021 with the theme Demystifying the Dark Web.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Firstly, as we all know, Kerala Police has been organizing the Hac'KP for the last few years on various aspects of cyber security, cyber crimes, and what we need to do in the present digital world. Now, every year we used to conduct Hac'KP, calling upon young enthusiasts, coders, researchers, etc., to come forward and bring forth many solutions useful for the community, useful for policing, useful for generally making the life of citizens smoother, easier, and transactions also easier and more comfortable. So Kerala Police, what we have been doing with Hac'KP has been one of our flagship projects of Kerala Police Cyberdome. And generally over the last few years, what we have been doing is we have been conducting this hackathon, bringing forth the interested academicians, scholars, researchers, coders from across the globe, and putting them into various tasks concerning policing, concerning cybersecurity, etc. And very good solutions have come out in the last few years with regards to traffic enforcement, traffic monitoring, using AI for cameras. Many of the systems we have implemented also. But this time, what we thought is we changed the nature of Hac'KP itself into something very focused. As I mentioned earlier, the earlier years, we actually looked at a lot of solutions which could actually bring forth the ideas during the hackathon. But this time we said we would actually draw the boards, we would actually draw the goal posts we will set, and we'll ask the people to actually hit the goal in that regard. So when we were trying to identify the right theme, we understood that the dark web is now one of the most important platforms where the entire policing is based upon, in the sense that crime has shifted from the physical world to the digital world. And the dark web is the internet dark world of crime, where all the things, where all the illegal things from arms, drugs, pornography, child pornography, everything is basically sold at the dark web. So we understood that this is an important area, and police doesn't have the right tools right now to actually go into the dark web, identify those criminals and bring them to book. So we actually require solutions in this regard, because it was a totally mystified area of the darknet that we were undergoing. So we thought this time we would actually concentrate on the dark web. We will call upon this Hac'KP to build solutions for the police, one integrated solution that will assist the police officer, that will aid the police department, not only in this Kerala police or the police forces in the country, but throughout the globe, who can actually use this platform and go and identify those criminals in the dark web, or what activity is happening in the dark web. So based on that understanding, we actually started off the Hac'KP on a very focused approach. So everybody comes together, and we had 1,000 individuals initially participating, and then we screened down to groups of 100, and then to finally to the 40 or 50 odd group that finally brought out the solution. And we found that it is actually one of the best approaches. It's a path-breaking approach that we brought in, because generally hackathons is like a competition, where finally the things that come out, the output is really not very measurable. But in this case, what we have come out is with a world, really example for everybody, a really world-renowned kind of platform, which can help the law enforcement agencies to actually crack onto the internet, dark web, understand what is happening, crawl into all those details that the dark web provides with regards to all these crimes, etc., just at the click of a button. And a very good solution has come forth, and I'm sure this is going to be a great help to not only to Kerala Police, but to the other police forces and the other law enforcement agencies in the world, which we are ready to share. So it's a highly successful attempt. It's a real example for the other hackathons to be more focused on how we can bring out solutions using all these good minds and the supervisors that we have. And we can use those resources to develop very useful, very, very conducive platforms which the law enforcement can use for better policing. So it's a very good effort, and it's a path-breaking approach also.
So absolutely, sir. Hac'KP 2021 is a need of the hour. There are many instances in which we hear the term dark web in our readings. A majority of them are related to disclosure of some sensitive data on the dark web, such as credit card details, personally identifiable information, and so on. Sunil, as you have played the CISO role or similar kind of role in various organizations, you might have dealt with the dark web related threats. In your opinion, how much does the dark web create a threat to an organization and the society? Can you share your experience with us?
Sure, Adarsh. The dark web is actually now in the mainstream. For the last couple of years, it is in the mainstream, where every security program is seriously looking at dark web threats. The risk is big because, for fundamentally, the dark web is for not legitimate activities, and that may be the reason it is called the dark web. In my experiences, we have couple of times we have gone through dark web more at a passive level and an active level. At an example, you get a mail or a threat mail or a mail which is of a concern from a perishable mail system. And the problem with the perishable mail system is that the mail doesn't exist after a particular time period. And then when you go back to trace back, you have absolutely no understanding where it originated or who originated, whether it is legitimate, should we act, how do we respond. There is a lot of if and buts on that scenario. And second thing is, even if you wanted to move ahead, then the problem of boundaries and issues come out, because assuming that is originated from a dark web environment and it is hopping through multiple servers across the globe, how long you can go back and trace back. And we need the support of various agencies to support based on the threat level. So it is a major issue on that. That is one of the serious areas we have seen. On the passive side, we have come across areas where the data dumps related to an environment parameters like user details, the credentials, maybe a code or an application details or a vulnerability attack surface, all available in various forums. So the problem there is that we cannot avoid or ignore dark web as a channel to monitor in a serious manner. It is a major threat, and the way it is going, it's going to evolve much further from there. Adarsh.
Okay, thanks, Sunil. The real world scenarios are actually thought provoking. The dark web is always a headache for the law enforcement agencies and organizations. We have heard many instances in the past in which the stolen data related to the organization or to the public are available on the dark web. So, effective monitoring on the dark web is highly essential for ensuring data security. From your experience, how should the dark web monitoring be different for corporates and law enforcement agencies?
Right. I think they are two totally different use cases which we have for dark web monitoring over here. Now, the reason for a corporate to look at dark web is totally different. The way the law enforcement agencies look at dark web is totally different. For example, any corporate will be more worried about if any of their data is breached, any of their information is available on dark web. How much of if somebody is selling access to their infrastructure onto the dark web, is the whatever exposure is there on the dark web, is that going to ruin their brand reputation? Is it going to affect towards the transaction with their customers? So these are the core use cases for which corporate will be always worried about. Now, when you talk about law enforcement agencies, these use cases doesn't work there. They look at the angles on a public angle, where they are able to do a greater good for a larger as a society, and whatever they can do to bring toward the protection of the society itself. So for a law enforcement agencies, the importance would be what is the cyber crime which is being done using dark web. What kind of activities are being handled from dark web? So that is something which they will look in very minute detail, so that they can try and detect and see if they can provide any kind of protection as well. For them, it is also important. Nowadays, what is happening is law enforcement agencies are also looking for traditional crimes. Now, the way traditional crimes used to happen in a person-to-person contact, most of these things are now happening virtually. and most of these tradings are also happening on dark web. So monitoring traditional crimes over via cyber means is also one of the very important thing which any law enforcement agencies will be interested to do that. They might not be interested much about the customer reputation and brand reputation, but they would be interested more or towards that if there is any vendor who is selling illegal stuff, sale of drugs, sale of weapons, all those things are very important for an LEA to ensure the effective monitoring is there. Although for a corporate might not always want to attribute an actor. They might not actually would like to go and catch the actor all the time. They are more focused towards the protection of their own network infrastructure, whereas the mandate for law enforcement agencies is always to identify who's the culprit and try and arrest or nab or identify and take any actions towards that, so that culprit will not take any of such things for other victims. So all in all, to give you a short answer is that the use cases are totally different. The way LEA looks at the things is totally different. The way corporate looks at the things is totally different. So with that means the overall monitoring experience, the way the both segments should monitor dark web is also different. I think that is what I would feel based upon my experience till now.
Yeah, that's exactly true, Muslim. That means the law enforcement agencies are mostly focusing on the prevention and investigation of
Right.
crimes, and the organizations are mostly focusing on the dark web related activities or the monitoring of dark web to ensure the maximum security for their critical data or their
Correct.
resources. Yeah.
Correct.
The dark web is often seen as a business place. It's all about money, follows the same type of business rules, and likes repeated customers. Any commodity can be bought from the marketplace even though the items are restricted in the country. This attracts the people more to the dark web. They can also buy something without revealing their real identity. Vikram, why is the dark web considered a business space? Is it housing typical e-commerce platforms?
So there are two parts of your question. One is, why is it considered a business place? And the other, well, we'll deal with the other question about the kind of e-commerce platforms that they run. So this is just another website which is conducting business as we know it. I mean, there are so many portals online today that you can buy and sell legitimate services. This is just another means of conducting business perfectly as normal people do. So you can buy services, you can sell services, you can buy goods, you can sell goods, you can buy stolen goods, you can sell stolen goods, you can sell credentials, pretty much anything and everything that somebody wants to buy or sell or serve or be an agent for or conduct sales is available out here. So I don't see why people would not consider it a typical business enterprise or a business strategy. Not to mention, I mean, they also accept payment methods for all these services. They conduct, there's a degree of credit, if you want to actually call it that, which is available based on trust. Just the way that you would in a physical world where, people can go over to the market and they can buy a bag of rice, a bag of vegetables, and the vendor actually just knows them and says, all right, you can come back and pay me next week. So that's fine. So that happens in the underground also. So in pretty much every single aspect, this is a truly business enterprise where people are trying to make money, but at the same time also being able to give some sort of goods or services for that. So that brings me to the second question, which is, hey, do they run typical e-commerce platforms? So the answer to that is it's a mixed bag. For the most part, they do not run commercial products. Most of these forums where these business activities are conducted are custom coded. just because the actors behind or the administrators behind these forums, they want to take complete control of the code and not have something in there that they're not aware of. So these guys are usually very technical. They understand what they're doing. So when they create this framework for this business platform, as you might want to call it, they want to understand what is under the hood, and they want complete control that way. But in parallel, you can also say that since these platforms do accept a form of currency as payments, they do try to mimic an e-commerce platform, but not in the most common way that all of us are used to, where you can swipe a Visa or a MasterCard and then be able to purchase something. Most of these forums do not accept Visa or MasterCard or any of our common methods of engagement as forms of payment.
Yeah, so that means there is a parallel internet that has pretty strong privacy and anonymity.
I think there is. I think this term of parallel internet is sort of misguided for a large part. A lot of these forums are typically just available whenever, if you just have the right URL, you can plug it into your browser, or in some cases you can plug it into a Tor browser and just conveniently be able to reach it. So there's the level of access is not that different from accessing a regular search engine or a regular social media platform for that matter. But I understand where you're coming from, and you're correct that a lot of people look at this as, hey, this parallel internet or parallel space in internet that is being used to conduct nefarious and anonymous business. Now, on that, I'll just make a quick point that yes, a lot of the marketplaces rely upon a degree of anonymity to conduct these businesses. But people need to realize that, hey, when you purchase something physical, like let's say drugs from one of these platforms, drugs might be sold or purchased on these platforms, but they have to be created somewhere and they eventually have to get shipped somewhere. So there is a physical element on both sides of that transaction, which is outside of that platform. So yes, you can get caught.
So that means that physical crime is being connected with the technology to deliver it in an efficient way and to reach to a wider community.
That's absolutely correct, Adarsh. That is exactly how it is. So you can do whatever you want online with a degree of anonymity, but eventually, like if you're going to get those drugs or fake passports or fake documents that you may have purchased over here, eventually they need to get delivered to your house. So somebody somewhere already has access to your physical address. So that's where there is no anonymity. Even if somebody says that they're going to leave it under a rock in the park, somebody could be watching at who comes to that rock in a park and then picks up from there. So there is no anonymity at that point.
So that would be the golden piece of evidences for the law enforcement agencies.
It is. And law enforcement agencies across the world for many, many, many years have sort of relied on this, right? I mean, as an example, so many different law enforcement agencies have conducted cyber investigations, which may have lasted months or even years, and they've identified people who reside in countries with no extradition treaty where they're actually needed. So law enforcement agencies sit and wait. They wait until the person travels out of that country, and then they nab them physically when they're out of that country so that they can extradite them and bring them in. So that is what we're seeing is just a cyber equivalent of what law enforcement has been doing for decades, if not centuries, in the physical world.
Yeah. So in terms of the cyber crimes, that would be the most important characteristics, right? So it can be done from anywhere, from any part of the world.
Yeah, that's correct.
I mean, for any physical presence. Yeah,
that's correct. And that's while that helps that helps define the scope of what a law enforcement agency or what a public sector might be tracking, that is just a huge, huge, huge challenge. As an example, if somebody, if a victim of cybercrime in India goes to the police, investigates the issue, and the police realize that, hey, the crime was committed by somebody sitting in Canada, but the infrastructure used in the attack was based in Germany, and India needs to somehow bring this case in front of a court, you can understand the complexities that law enforcement needs to go through just to be able to get all the information on the perpetrator of the crime. It is extremely complicated and it takes a lot of time. But as the years progress, law enforcement agencies are getting way, way, way better. I mean, we are so many leap years ahead of where we were 10 years ago, where law enforcement today can get information so quickly and in such a methodical manner that we may not have thought about 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. So we hear the dark web related news on a day-to-day basis. Some of them are horrifying. From the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, a vast number of people migrated to cyberspace, ranging from school students to the working professionals. It actually widened cybercriminals a bigger platform for initiating their attacks. As a result, the number of crimes increased exponentially in the last couple of years. Sir, what are the significant crimes that are associated with dark web that you came across in your investigation?
So as we all know, as I mentioned earlier also, dark web is the underworld of all crime. We have a lot of websites available in the dark web where all the banned activity, all the contraband materials is available. One of the major sources of all drugs now in the world, all kinds of drugs that are sold across the counter, is basically the dark web. You had the Silk Route, etc., which was one of the biggest e-commerce site with regards to drugs that were available. Of course, the US government took it down, but many other players have come in and taken the place. So a lot of drugs, all kinds of drugs are available, and if you pay in Bitcoins, it will reach your homes also without any problems through the normal courier system. So that is the system that is available. Apart from drugs, you have arms also now. There are a lot of sites selling all kinds of arms. So if you want a pistol or if you want an AK-47, of course, there are procedures involved. There are a lot of fake sites also which fool people. So it is not that you can just go and buy it just like that, because many sites are basically sites that can fool you also. They'll take your money and nothing will come. But there are very authenticated sites also. Many sites that are purely proved they are trustworthy, etc., in the dark web, where you can actually pay the money and there is no questions asked. You just need to pay in Bitcoins and your banned substance will come. So arms are available, fake passports are available, all kinds of information. That is all the data leaks that are there now. You see a lot of everything is being, data is now money, and there is no portal, there is no company that hasn't been hacked in the last 4 to 5 years, including Yahoo or LinkedIn or any other company you take it. So all those information is actually sold in the darknet. So if you want data, if you want data on credit card, debit card, that is also available in the darknet. You have fake passports, fake documents, all kinds of visas, etc., available on the darknet. Another major thing is basically the CSAM material, the child pornography that you have. All kinds of videos are available on the dark web for sale, which can be bought by anything. So it is one of the biggest market of all kinds of pornographic material, including child porn, which is so very prevalent. So any banned substance you take it, you have information of assassination teams also. There are many hit teams, hitmen teams, etc., available in darknet, where you just need to go and put an order saying that you just need to share the photograph and the address of the person and pay in Bitcoins, and they say that they will execute those tasks also. And we have some information, not in India, but in the South, in the Venezuelan countries, etc., where these hitmen have been used by the drug cartels to settle scores among themselves. So this is a market that is really growing, and it can all these problems are available because internet is such a field that it is It is not country based. There is no geographical division or geographical limitation to the dark web. It's available everywhere. Whatever is available on the dark web is available everywhere. And we have now Kerala specific problems, India specific problems, which we are looking at, where they are looking at Indian markets also. It's a very lucrative market. And many people are going to the dark web because of the anonymity, because of the difficulty of the law enforcement in understanding that most of the law enforcement agencies don't even know that such a thing exists. So that is the advantage of the criminal in using the dark web. And it has gone over with the digital world really accelerating with the COVID-19 pandemic and the connected lockdowns. This problem has gone up manifold in the last 2 years as such. So it's a major problem that we need to really look at, and law enforcement really needs to look at this problem to nip the problem in the bud.
So that was scary and also insightful at the same time. As you mentioned before, the threats associated with dark web to an organization are pretty alarming. And monitoring those potential risks is crucial to the security of critical data. Sunil, how relevant is dark web intelligence in an organization's risk management strategy?
See, it is very important. Dark web itself is a whole new space and a channel which is posing huge risk for the organization or enterprise risk. It is not an IT risk, it is an enterprise risk. To understand and maneuver in that space, we need a totally new or a different mindset and approach to constantly monitor for the whispers which is happening over there, the dumps of the vulnerabilities or a code or a credential or a 0-day getting posted frequently over there. And the problem, again, if you look at, we are in a highly federated environment where with a huge dependencies of various partners and technologies around us. Impact to any one of this can impact our enterprise services also. So due to which the scope of our monitoring or the actions are not limited to our enterprise. It is much, much broader than that, because we need to be aware proactively to understand, is one of my supplier or one of my technology I'm using has a problem which can impact us over there. So when you look at these whispers and channels and all of that thing, we need to look at much, much bigger scope for that. Normally, the problem there is that we don't have a mature technologies available, considering the darkness to that thing to look completely, because we lose the visibility completely over there. So typical methods people do is that we create pseudo identities and be active there as a passive user to understand what is happening. We do a lot of industry collaborations across the peer organizations, with the technology vendors, with the research organizations to understand the intelligence they can provide. Because it is most of the time it is too difficult to do ourselves. We need a much bigger conversation to that. And literally what we are trying to do is that one is when we look at the dumps and all of that thing, that is a proactive activity. Reactive activity. To being a proactive, we need to start listen to the conversations and chats and all of that thing in all possible channels, and which is essential for that. Adarsh.
Okay, absolutely. So organizations need to consider the dark web intelligence in their cybersecurity strategy.
Absolutely, yes.
As we discussed earlier, the dark web is a mysterious box that creates a lot of headaches for law enforcement agencies and organizations. So, effective and adequate surveillance is recommended to uncover the presence of any potential information about, say, an organization. Vikram, in that context, how important is dark web intelligence to organizational security?
I think that's an interesting question, because all this while we've been talking about law enforcement. Now, if you come down to organizations, you can look at organizations in multiple tiers. You can say small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses. Let's sort of focus on large businesses or organizations. Organizations usually have a brand, they have products or services, they have sprawling networks, usually across multiple cities, maybe even multiple geographies. They have very heterogeneous infrastructure themselves, where they're using different components, different technologies in different places. So all of this really just adds to the complexity of maintaining that network. Now, why am I saying this? It's because these organizations should, if they're not already, and most of them, a good number of them already do, they have a vested interest in making sure that their networks are safeguarded against actors. And these actors are almost all the time discussing things like stolen credentials, access into certain large organizations which are being sold in these dark forums, different vulnerabilities which are being disclosed publicly that need to get exploited against different organizations. So there are different aspects of malicious activity which is being discussed that is of extremely high value to protecting that organization. If the organization wants to prioritize patching of some devices across all their different geographies, aside from their internal business use cases, they should be taking a look at seeing what is it that the attackers are really prioritizing on their side. And based on that, or taking that feedback, they can say, okay, well, maybe we should upgrade these, or maybe we should patch the Oracle devices before we guys take a look at Microsoft devices. So there's lots to be learned. There's lots to be monitored in terms of credentials and brand abuse, so that these organizations can better protect themselves before attackers take advantage of what is already being sold out there.
So that means uncompromised monitoring of dark web threats is an inevitable security measure for an organization.
I think you're absolutely correct. I see no reason for large organizations to not invest in monitoring the dark web forums and maintaining a very healthy level of intelligence coming in from there, because it directly assists the security of the security team of the organization to prioritize as well as respond to what might be happening at the attacker side.
For ensuring a secure environment for our customers, the organization should consider robust threat intelligence mechanisms as part of their security framework. Just having a threat intel alone is not adequate to ensure a 360-degree protection. Muslim, what are the different ways to ensure operational security by attributing dark web actors?
Okay, so I think I would take this as two different scenarios and two different questions, because having a protection is one thing, and attribution is totally a different ball game altogether. So what I would say, I will take the first question as an answer, that typically most of the corporates and organizations look and already have an inside out protection. Now, inside out protection means that they will have all sorts of kind of security controls within the organizations to ensure that all of their assets are adequately protected. Now, you have mentioned previously about number of privacy regulations. So similarly, there are a number of security compliance standards as well. So some organization will comply to ISO 27001 or HIPAA or PCI DSS or whatever is applicable to them. They will use and ensure that they comply to those standards and implement those controls all towards their assets. So that is something which is called as an inside out kind of a security posture. What typically they miss in this thing is that whatever is happening there within their infrastructure, they are aware of that thing, but whatever is happening outside of the infrastructure is something which they are not aware. Why? Because they do not have any monitoring on that part. So whether if any specific vulnerability is being actively discussed by the threat actors, if there is a 0-day coming or being discussed or being shared by the actors, if one of their data is breached and this data is being shared outside those kind of things. So there is a definite need of a protection which is also gives an outside in approach. So as a combination of inside out and outside in will give a kind of a 360-degree kind of protection, which most of the organization should look for, because they know whatever is happening into their network. Now they know whatever is happening outside of their network, but might impact them as well. So that is something which is very, very important. organizations should look for their attack surface. So today, I should very well know how many IP addresses I have which are open. So the meaning of attack surface over here is that the points which an attacker can attack, open points which are available on internet, which an attacker can attack and compromise. So, do I have any database server exposed? Do I have any RDP machines exposed? Do I have any critical system which should not be exposed on internet? Is that exposed? So I should know all about that by looking at kind of a very regular view to my attack surface, and do not allow any third party attacker to get into my system or my network by virtue of that. Use threat intelligence as early warning, right? So a lot of time nowadays what people see is that dark web monitoring is being utilized as a post kind of an activity. Hey, something happens about me, then let me know. That is the wrong approach. If something is happened about you and you're getting to know about that, means that the damage is done. Your system is compromised, and now the system is available in the dark web, and then it is being sold. So it's too late to do anything about that. So intelligence
Prevention
means
is better
that
than cure.
intelligence means that I need to know things beforehand. So if,
Right.
for example, if I'm operating in the banking or financial services industry, now if I know that one of my peer bank, one of my bank in my sector which operates, they are facing these kind of attacks at this point of time. So today they are facing these kind of attacks. Tomorrow I can face those attacks as well. So I have to learn from these activities and preemptively implement those controls onto my network, so that tomorrow if this threat comes to my doorstep, I'm adequately protected. So this is an approach which organization should take. A lot of people do not take that. A lot of people always take kind of a reactive approach. Hey, if there is something of us in dark web, then let us know. That is too late. You should not allow things from your side to go to dark web. That has to be the approach. So in that thing, very use threat intelligence effectively as a early warning tool to fix things which is being impacted elsewhere, but not to you. Do that things beforehand, so that we are adequately protected. So that is to your answer about 360-degree protection. Now let me answer about the attribution side. Now attribution side might not be very interesting for a corporate, but definitely it could be an interesting aspect for a law enforcement kind of an organization. For them, this attribution kind of thing will be very interesting. So for that thing, the having an effective operational security is paramount, because without effective operational security, you will tend to lose your cover. As I was speaking earlier in my answer to earlier questions, in a traditional way, you will send a undercover agent to adversary. Moment his cover is blown, then things are gone. In traditional life, the guy might lose his life. That might not happen in the cyber thing, but if that kind of thing happens over here, you would lose your persona. You would people will know about you, and then you might actually end up getting more attacks onto
Right.
onto
And you
your
have to
system.
find some other strategies.
You have to find, and these personas are created over number of years. These are something which you cannot create today or tomorrow. Okay, chalo, theek hai, it's okay. I will create a new account and I will create a new persona. It doesn't happen like that. So your identity is lost. Whatever you have gained over period of last 2, 3, 4 years, everything goes off very fast. So we have to ensure that anonymity is there. You have multiple layers of protection once you're talking to an adversary. You should have that kind of protection. You use a combination of anonymization tools such as VPN, Tor, and multiple levels of those things. Not only VPN, not only Tor, but multiple levels and layers of these protection. You should never exchange your identity. If you are talking to a threat actor and claiming that you are somebody who is from Middle East, now don't go to a different actor and tell them that you are from Russia or Ukraine. You never know that these two actors whom you're talking might be same, and you might be burning your own identity. So If you have a story about yourself, ensure that story is consistent. You are one person, and the story of that one person remains to be constant and consistent all the time, right? So you can't never exchange your identity. Do not share things. Typically, what we say in our organization, in our company as well, that even somebody who is working with you, even he is somebody who's your peer, you should not share your identity with that person, even if he is your friend, even he is your colleague, even if he works with you in the same department, because you never know, once identity is shared, the information has gone out from there,
Gone.
so it's gone, and you don't know this person tomorrow goes where. Today he is working with you, tomorrow he might not be working with you, he might be working somewhere else, and then he might be able to track you very easily with your own identity. So
Right.
so
Right.
ideally, you should not do that. You should not even talk about your identity. You should not talk about all those things. So these kind of measures must be taken for operational security kind of activities, as and when these things are to be utilized.
Yes. So these kind of strategies are highly required. That's
Right.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, one of the objectives of Hackpy 2021 is to build a solution to overcome the challenges in dealing with the crimes associated with dark web. Sir, what are the difficulties that the law enforcement agencies face in dark web related crime investigation or the dark web monitoring?
Basically, dark web as the concept itself, as you know, the deep web and the dark web is something that is not really indexed on the internet. As you go to the surface web, the Google or the Yahoo or any of those normal surface webs, etc., everything is indexed. You go and search, you will get through to that particular site. But the deep web or the dark web is that part of internet that is not indexed. You can't actually get it through any search engine as such. And basically, it is all encrypted. Basically, anybody visiting the darknet he uses those Tor or any other such platform by which his identity is encrypted. So it gives basically Tor was created for intelligence purposes and for activists like the human rights activists, like journalists, etc., to hide their identity when they faced hostile governments or hostile agencies when they're reporting. But then the criminals also found that this was a very useful means to spread their criminal activity. Like any good activity, it starts off with a good intention. And then the criminals find that this is very useful because the identity of the criminal, both the buyer and the seller, is hidden in the whole process. And with the bitcoins coming in, Bitcoin was a natural entity to the dark web. With the bitcoins coming in, the payment also became totally anonymous. And so the advantage is nobody knows who is buying, who is selling, and where the money transaction is gone, which is to the advantage of the criminal. And so that is why the dark web has become popular with the criminals as such. So though many of the countries through coordinated action have detected a lot of websites, but it has been a very difficult task. A lot of tools have been used. A lot of international agencies have come together, even to take down the Silk Road or many other sites like that, Playpen, etc. A lot of coordination among the international agencies, a lot of technical work has come in. The advantage of the internet, the dark web, as I mentioned, is basically the anonymity. And for the criminal, that's the most important thing. He's safe. Though he's using the internet and doing all his activities, he's getting his financial benefits also. But the anonymity factor remains. And it's very difficult for the law enforcement even to understand where he is operating from, which country is he operating from, and where the money is going. Because the money trail with the bitcoins also is very difficult to crack. So that is the strange problem with the dark web that we have currently.
So that means Hackpy 2021 aims to solve exactly those problems. That's interesting. The world is now talking about privacy. We have many laws and regulations across the globe to protect privacy. The dark web's technology is being used by journalists and whistleblowers in a very positive way. But at the same time, the cyber criminals are exploiting the advantages of dark web or the underlying technology for carrying out illegal stuff. Dark web and its underlying technology, I mean the onion routing protocol, highlights the importance of anonymity and privacy. Sunil, how relevant is that in this data-driven era?
See, others, while anonymity activities are is one of the privacy use cases we can always talk about, the concern is the ethical use of the technology here. Because this is not only specific to that, this goes to many other environments where dual use of the technologies are being used. And if it is not for the betterment of the human being or the world, then it is quite worrying for that. The problem with the privacy side, when you say, I'm talking about the dark side of it, the adversaries are collaborating over there. Malicious tools are getting solved over there. Vulnerability and attack surface of enterprises and your ecosystem is being published for or available for sale. This is on the technology side. If you look at the human, on the physical side, security side of it, so much of bad things are happening out there. So dark web, my view is that the problem with that is much more than we saying the better side of the privacy side. That is why from that is the reason this is not becoming a mainstream Tier 1 application or a Tier 2 application for an enterprise, because we all look at that as a dark side.
Yeah, so that's really interesting, Sunil, because the technology is always like a coin. It has both positive and negative sides, and like the application or the impact of that technology is purely depending on how we are going to use it. That's
Correct.
really true, Sunil. So, as we discussed earlier, the dark web has become a pool of information. Leaked or stolen data are the major chunk of that pool. As we all know, there are various data protection regulations in place, such as GDPR, CCPA, and any breach of personal data would significantly impact the organization's existence. Muslim, how can we identify if the information available on the dark web is the correct or genuine one? Or if we notice some info, what would be the best way to remove it? Or I would ask how we can recover from those damages.
Okay, I think it's a very interesting question. I think a lot of people ask these questions because what we have seen towards our customers as well is that once the data comes on the dark web, the authenticity becomes very important. How much authentic that information is, and how to get rid of the information from there. So those two things are very important aspect. Thanks for asking this question. So I would say that as part of so dark web monitoring is not kind of a job while you do a general monitoring like social media and all those things. It doesn't happen like that. Although a way out to monitor is to keep looking at forums, to keep looking at various avenues from where this data is shared. But by just looking at this information is not going to add. It will help you to detect things from there, but it might not help you to really identify the authenticity. Now, to identify authenticity, it is very important you indulge in I think it's a very well-known term for law enforcement agencies is human intelligence. So human intelligence is something which is very important over here, and that is something which is typically for any if I would like to do an analogy towards a traditional operation which an intel department of any law enforcement agencies will do, is they will, if they want to gather intel, they will send a person to the adversary site, where this person will silently sit over there, gather and capture all data from there, and then pass on that intelligence to their control room or control center, wherever it is. Same thing is being done while doing the dark web monitoring as well. Exact same replica of things. Also, the only thing over here is that the you do not have to send a human over there. The persona of human is to be created. Everything has to happen virtually. So in this case, what you need to do is you need to have a very strong human or a human persona, which is having a very good reputation, where people will trust you. So it's the gathering of intelligence is is as good as having a good trust amongst these dark web actors. So if you really want any of these actors to talk to you, you need to show that you are also a highly skilled person, and you can be of any help to these people. Then these people will talk and share a lot of information to you. So in this case, what typically is being done, we do it during our monitoring as well, is that our persona, who whatever it is communicates with these actors, talk to them and try to understand more information. Hey, please tell me what from where did you get this data? How did you get it? Did you exploit any vulnerability? Did you hack any a database server? Do you still have access to that network? So you have to ask these relevant questions. Based upon those questions, you should be able to judge if the actor is bluffing or actor is giving you a right answer. What you can also do is you can ask for samples. Although a lot of times some small sample these guys will share, you can ask for more. You can ask for it. Show me something else. This is small stuff. I need to see some real stuff. Show me something more. So you ask for these samples. Based upon your reputation, this actor will share more stuff with you. Now, once you have these
It's a proof
samples
of
with you,
claim, right?
proof of claim, yes, very important, because you can claim I have n number of data with me. How do you prove it? Unless until you share the sample information, there is no breach. We can't entertain that kind of fact. So in that thing, you ask for those samples. Once you get access, get hold of those samples. Now the samples can be in the form of screenshots. The samples can be form of a small files which is recovered from the victims' systems. It could be anything. So once you have those things, you validate that sample data with actual victim and share this data with them and see whether do you think this information actually belongs to you, or this is something which is not there. It is. So that is important to see as well. One more thing to see is that identify who's sharing it in dark web. As your persona is important, similarly the persona of threat actor is also important. There are a lot of new actors, newbies, who would like to create their reputation, so they will share junk just to create their reputation and gain vouchers. So they will share junk. Now you need to be very vigilant in understanding that, okay, what this guy is, how long he has been present in dark web, what kind of persona he has, what does his peers say in his forum, whatever transaction he has done before, what is the feedback he has received for those transactions, what are the transaction feedback, or positive or negative. So all based upon all this information, you will have to make an analytical judgment that, okay, this data is real or this data is fake. So that is something which needs to be identified and done from the interaction with the threat actors, or things from the dark web. Now, to answer your second question, where you've asked about the removal of or recovery of data, that is a futile exercise. Although you would see that a lot of people will talk about removal and recovery of information. Recovery would means that, okay, you will be able to gain access in terms of what all data was there. That is fine. But if you think that data can be removed from there, I think it's a false thought. People should not think much about it. Once they, as you know, that in our clear web, clearnet, there is a control. There is a control where if the data is posted on a website, I can go to a registrar, I can go to a hosting provider and take those things down by virtue of a court order, or by virtue of a lot of notices which I can do. No such thing I can do on dark web, right? So although that people will claim, only way it can be done is either you buy that data which this actor is selling. You buy that data and ask that actor that I'm paying you extra money, please don't share with anybody else. But in our experience, in our whatever we have seen in many years of operations, these things are a waste of time. These actor will agree with you. He will take money. He will take extra money from you. He will say, no, I will not share this data with anybody else. And then I will take it down. That post will be taken down immediately from there, and then you will be happy that, okay, now that post, the data has been taken down from dark web, and I'm happy. you would notice in a couple of months' time, the data will again come back from a different actor, from a different persona, and this data will again be offered for sale. So these people will not have kind of any rules by which they will go on. So most of the times, as per our experience, the data might go down momentarily, but it is very difficult to ensure and 100% this thing that the data will be totally removed. Some actors might do it, but in our experience, we have seen for a lot of big breaches and big data breaches, these things will resurface because these people are only after money. They've earned money, good money from you by once you paid them a good amount of money, and then again it will be leaked again. So they will anticipate that now this will be paid to me again. So I think as far as an advice from my side is concerned, we should not worry much about removing data from there. Instead of that, corporates or organizations should worry in terms of what action now I can take. I know this has been breached. I know this thing has gone out. Now what next steps I can take? Either I have to inform my customers, I have to inform my investors, I have to inform whoever it is, do a press release or whatever needs to be done. The customers or victims should focus more on on that side rather than wasting their time on removal or recovery side. That is my submission on that part.
Yeah, it's a kind of a damage control, right?
That's all you can do on the damage control side.
Yeah. So that was really informative, Muslim. And the organization needs to be aware of these kind of strategies for defending themselves.
Correct.
Because recently, like a couple of days before, also we heard we heard a news related to dark web stating that one of the famous telecommunication companies data is available in the dark web. So the media is giving that kind of popularity to the dark web related crimes.
Correct.
That
Correct.
obviously creating a panic to the public as well as to the organization. So the damage
Absolutely.
control would be the best strategy the organization can focus on.
Absolutely. I fully agree with you that on that front.
The predicting the most unpredictable events, that is one of the prime objective of any intelligence systems, right? So when it comes to the dark web, one of the primary characteristics of dark web is anonymity.
Yes.
So that is also one of the biggest challenge now the law enforcement agencies are facing because of the anonymity criteria. So how we can effectively tackle what these kind of challenges when it comes to the dark web monitoring?
So it's a tricky question because depending on whether you're on the side of privacy or not, I think everybody sort of agrees that, or at least everybody in this discussion should agree that we're on the side of maintaining law and order. And so while there might be a degree of anonymity that people desire online, I do agree that there should be methods by which law enforcement has the ability to acquire the information that they need to be able to maintain law and order. So with that in mind, what is it that law enforcement themselves can do? I mean, this is not an overnight project or an overnight solution that anybody can gather, but law enforcement needs to invest in tools to gather information, maintain databases of which actor is performing what and what their profiles might appear like, and start building on this information which might be shared amongst different law enforcement agencies. The ability to train their personnel to query such data and see, hey, what a certain actor may have sold or purchased in the past 6 months. Who did they give it to? Is there any sort of identifying factor, whether it's IP addresses or user agent strings or some sort of unique way that a person speaks about certain artifacts? All these traits should be stored and made queryable and made very easily accessible for law enforcement agencies to be able to derive this this knowledge that they require in the event that an incident happens at some point in time. So again, this is a long-term project. This does not happen overnight unless law enforcement goes and outsources it. And there are vendors out there who have invested many years of their time to create such databases and create such capabilities. And yeah, an organization or law enforcement also can just go out and purchase access to it. But in that case, then it'll sort of limit what they might be able to find admissible in a court of law. To purchase the data versus having acquired it themselves, I'm sure a judge will look at it very differently. So,
yeah, that's really true. As you mentioned, like the dark web monitoring is at most important for either the organizational security or for the security of the cyberspace or even the society. Okay, so when it comes to the dark web monitoring, how an organization or a law enforcement agency can do their monitoring without having an unnecessary exposure. Exposing ourselves to the dark web definitely have a threat, or that will definitely stop us from getting the right result.
Right. And so I look at public sector organizations or law enforcement in one bucket versus organizations in another. For an organization, I'll start with an organization responding to information that they might find on these dark web forums is very different. The organization is looking for, as well as in some cases finding, information about, let's just say, stolen credentials. So it's very easy for them to create a response plan to say, hey, okay, in the last 30 days, where has this compromised user's credentials been used? Let's see and try to audit access to data at that point. So they can do that, and at the end of their investigation, they can recycle those credentials. The same thing with, if there's an actor in the underground forum who's saying, hey, I have access to ABC organization through a VPN or an old VPN vulnerability that they had in their office in Kuwait. Now this organization can look at that data, can go to that VPN infrastructure to understand, and maybe even perform some sort of investigation to see, hey, what may have been exposed at that point. So it's really about expectation versus response. So I think creating a response plan for a organization is a lot more straightforward. Law enforcement is very different, because law enforcement in most cases sort of rely upon a victim to notify law enforcement of a crime being committed. As you and probably everybody on this forum realizes, very few victims come forward and notify law enforcement of any problem. So that leaves a little bit more responsibility in the hands of law enforcement, where if they see a crime being committed, like, so if a fake car was sold on a forum to somebody and money was transferred using cryptocurrency or some sort of prepaid cards out in the web, law enforcement might be able to directly get in touch with a victim and then be able to open up a case and then be able to take it. But it gets a lot more complicated for law enforcement to be able to respond to threats in a reactive manner, especially when the victim hasn't even come to them. Sure, in the cases of fake documents which try to mimic national objects, so let's say passports or visas, things of that sort, law enforcement can definitely do things even without a victim coming forward. So in those cases, they can track the behavior, you can see where the goods were actually sent, and then be able to go seize them and then conduct their operation into who actually created them. And that would obviously take a lot more time. So the response on law enforcement is very difficult to articulate. And in a lot of cases, law enforcement is likely to come across cases for the first time and not be able to rely upon a very streamlined roadmap on how to solve the crime.
So that's a clear the clear separation between proactive and reactive strategies.
Yeah, it's very it's very proactive on the law enforcement side, but with limitations on what they can do and to what extent the crimes can be, or should I say the criminals can be brought to justice. That takes a lot more time.
Yeah. So can you share your insight onto some kind of tools that that is popular or that the law enforcement agencies or organization can use in a safe manner?
So by safe manner, I assume that you're talking about tools related to the underground forums or these dark web forums. So as I mentioned before, it's really a question of maintaining a historical database which contains information about actors, goods sold, and or should I say archives of these forums, and as much information as they can sort of gather from them as well, whether it's IPs or some sort of VPN hosts or services that they may have sold over time. Now, while law enforcement can build this, and it'll take some time, it's a little bit more complicated because you gather information, you want to be able to not only make it queryable, but you want to be able to make it queryable in the language that you are using. So, in India, if there is a law enforcement agency that does not rely upon solely English, then that database needs to be translated into whatever the local language might be, so that these people can not only just query it, but also see results, even though the original interaction between actors may have been done in a completely foreign language. So maintaining this database and creating the ability to have it queried as well as used by personnel in their local languages is sort of the goal. That's the aim. Now, whether law enforcement creates this themselves or they go out to a third party and just purchases this capability, that would be up to them. But I think the underlying solution is pretty much maintaining this pretty large database of information.
Yeah, Vikram, that's very much informative. The threats are evolving day by day. The organization needs to prepare for defending such threats. Can you throw some lights on the emerging threats related to dark web?
So one of the things about the dark web is they're pretty predictable. So you see somebody steals credentials, he sells those credentials, and when he sells those credentials, he sells them to somebody who wants to obviously go in, make use of those credentials to access information. So it's very predictable. Somebody sells, somebody buys, somebody uses. So the use cases for, let's say, credentials, and I'm just going to list a few. So let's say they're credentials for email accounts. Those email accounts are more than likely hosted by commercial solutions, whether hosted by Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, AOL, and a whole slew of these vendors out there. But these vendors, they can also keep track of what is being sold in the underground and proactively put some of these, or not some of these, all of these email accounts onto some sort of watch list on their side, where they can make sure that, hey, the person connecting into this email account will only do it from a particular geography or a particular area. And if anything outside of that happens, they might actually pause access until they can validate the end user making use of this information. So with that in mind, creating a response plan, I mean, this information which is being sold and purchased out there has a pretty defined state for everybody, whether it's the organization, the vendor, and so makes it very predictable that way. So what people are doing now is, or what organizations are doing now is, when they get access to it, if there is information in there that belongs to somebody else, they're trying to redistribute it and say, hey, I found a data dump it has 1 million credit cards, but let me share it amongst the 50 banks that they actually belong to. Now the banks can start taking care of it themselves on their side. So actors are aware of this. They're aware of this. That's why when there's somebody who has a fresh set of credit cards, they want to sell it to the highest buyer. They want to sell it to somebody extremely quickly because they know that those 1 million credit cards that they're trying to sell are going to be worthless in a matter of 1 week, maybe even less. So this little game of cat and mouse continues forever and ever and ever. I mean, somebody will buy, the good guys will try to take action, the bad guys will try to sell it or try to make the most out of it at the same time. And this cycle will continue the next time around, and the next time around, the next time around. So these are some of the things which have been happening for years. Obviously, the new stuff is all mostly related to, let's say, ransomware, where the entry bar into the market is so low. You can come in as somebody who just wants to conduct ransomware attacks or some of these types of attacks. You come in, you purchase the tools, which is both the spamming network, the malware itself, the infrastructure to control the malware itself, the infrastructure to exfiltrate information from a compromised organization, and finally a method by which you can pay a commission to people who helped you create the malware itself. So basically the entry bar from even a technical standpoint is very low, and we see this being a major cause of the rise of ransomware out there. So being able to target these networks, these organizations, this infrastructure becomes even more important. But we think ransomware is probably like the #1 reason for the loss of sleep for any CISO out there.
Yeah, that's true. Because nowadays the ransomware not just only encrypting the data, actually it is stealing the data. That's
You're absolutely
actually
correct. So
double the magnitude of impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the actor's playbook now that once they get into the network, the first thing they want to do is steal information. And they take that data and they go away, which serves two purposes. One, they can steal a little bit of information to scare the victim into paying the ransom by saying, hey, here is your last quarter's internal document for financials. And they can use that as a proverbial proof of life. That, hey, yes, we do have your data. And there's no way to really know how much of that data that somebody may have stolen, but they use it for it. And second, of course, is, they just use that as a part of their ransom by saying, hey, we encrypted your network. We know that you have insurance which might cover you for the first 5 million. That's great. We'll take the 5 million, but we also have your data. And we think another 5 million for that data is actually warranted. Otherwise, we'll just leak it to the public. So that is just part of their playbook right now, and it makes it extremely, extremely dangerous. But I'm generally a very optimistic person. So I'll say that there is a silver lining, however small it might be over here, which is ransomware in the past few years has really, really, really raised the security posture of a lot of organizations. It has raised the investment that people are making to protect their own organizations. While there is so much destruction which is happening, which is never good, if somebody really wanted to dig deep and find a small silver lining, it is this.
Yes, Vikram, that's really insightful. Today is a very special day for Kerala Police and for the entire state. Kerala Police has launched a promising solution, Grapnel 1.0, as an outcome of Hac'KP 2021, which is going to help the law enforcement agencies in dealing with the crimes associated with dark web. Sir, we are super excited to know about the relevance and the future of the solution from now on.
It's a very proud moment, not only for me, but all the team that worked behind the Hac'KP, and in bringing out this super solution called Grapnel. that has come out to deal with the problem of the dark web, and really getting onto the theme of the Hac'KP itself, demystifying the dark web. So this Grapnel has actually been very successful in whatever we started off, and it has come out as I think, a solution that far overreaches whatever expectation even I had when we started off where we started off. So the solution has come out really well. It has given the law enforcement a tool to actually understand what is the dark web, crawl over all those informations, the websites that is available, give the information to the law enforcement agency or to the analyst on what is there available in the darknet in a particular search pattern. Suppose I am working from Kerala, what is affecting me? That will come to me. I can crawl and get it by just a click of a button. It's a very user-friendly platform that has come in. It is coded very well. It's a high-class solution that has been created. And I'm sure that it would have taken crores of money if I had gone to a private agency to develop it. And the best of minds have actually come together. They have worked really hard in building up this solution. And I'm super excited about the prospect itself that this platform is developed now. And it's going to be, as I mentioned earlier, a path-breaking step to understand the importance of how the police and community can come together to build such a solution for the protection of all. Because finally, the demystification of the dark web or understanding the dark web is crucial not only for the law enforcement but for the citizens also, because their safety depends upon how we actually deal with this underworld. So this solution is really a path-breaking step in this regard, not only for Kerala Police, but for the law enforcement and the citizens alike. And I'm sure that we are going to develop on this also, this platform also, to higher levels, to really cater to the incoming challenges also, because as we know, the digital world keeps on changing, becoming more complex. The complexity, the technicalities keep on changing. And this solution also, in the same way, whatever additional features have to be added, we'll be keeping on adding those features, looking at the technicalities, looking at the changing digital platform. We'll also be changing and adding on the things to this platform to make it a robust platform to handle the dark web. So I want to congratulate the team that has worked really day and night to build this software in such a short time, and it's really their efforts. It's really a path-breaking step that we are releasing today, and I want to congratulate the team, and I'm really proud of them. Thank you.
So that means this is just a beginning. That's awesome. This is really a proud moment for all of us. Definitely, this solution will change the current perspectives of crime preventions and mitigation strategies related to dark web. So thank you, sir, for sparing time with us today, and good luck to Kerala Police for all the future initiatives to protect the society and cyberspace. So thank you, sir, and Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Today, we all witnessed the launch of Grapnel 1.0. This initiative is one of the best examples of the need for technologically advanced solutions and methodologies to tackle sophisticated crimes. Muslim, how can the law enforcement agencies prepare themselves to face the challenges of this digital arena?
I would first of all like to congratulate for this great initiative which has been launched today. I think overall it looks like a very good step where monitoring can be done. Monitoring can be done on demand as well, and then law enforcement agencies can utilize these kind of areas which is typically unknown. Everybody is not that skilled to be able to use Tor browser and go to dark web and then do those things. If we are able to do these things technologically, crawl the data and get the data to them, it is easier to work on data than to a system, right? So I think I would first of all like to congratulate I think Hac'KP and Kerala Cyber Dome to have a great initiative for the launch of this system. So that is definitely a need of our and I'm sure this is going to help the LEAs to very effectively monitor things which they might not be doing it now. Now, there is definitely need to. It's a good step, I would say, but there is a definite need to go a step further in these scenario. Once the monitoring is in place, the team should plan for larger operations. Larger operations. So only looking at passive things passively, things monitoring passively is not enough. Specifically, it could be enough for a corporate. They're happy to have that passive monitoring, but for an LEA, the monitoring has to be very active. As an LEA will do launch a traditional intel operation in doing traditional crime, they should do similar operations over here while making sure they have their agents sitting in the adversary network, deep rooted into their infrastructure and gaining information and intelligence from there. That is something which is definitely important. So that is something which needs to be done. That is definitely comes on top of the monitoring bit, which is there. They also need to play a very active role in these activities, because unless until things are done proactively and actively, it will be very difficult to effectively track these kind of crimes, because we have seen that these cyber criminals are normally one step ahead of variety of monitoring agencies. So in this case, most of the time there is always a catch-up game which is being played, where some of the activities is happening and then we are catching it up with them. So if you are embedded into their network, if you are there with the adversary, you might not need to play a catch-up game. You might be on top of things which are need to come, and at the right time you can carry out the operation which you would like to do. I would suggest that, I think in our previous interaction with a lot of other LEAs, I had suggested that you need to create your own trap infrastructures. Unless until you create, so I think there was a very recent case where an international LEA had created that mobile application and given that app to use to a lot of these cyber criminals, and they waited patiently for everybody to come on that platform, and then they launched the tracking and the capturing of all those people. Now this was a very meticulous kind of approach. These kind of things should be done by our LEAs as well. Run a hacking forum, start a forum where you will invite all people and let them communicate. Open some sort of channel where they can come together and collaborate and communicate. You can sit silently and you don't need to take action immediately. You can sit silently, monitor activities for a year or so, then plan for your action, whatever you would like to do. You can create kind of I think identifying child pornography and pedophile activity is also one of the top kind of preferences for LEA. And all of these activities actually happens on dark web, and all those pedophile people, they are not very tech savvy. They just use dark web to anonymize themselves. So utilize that kind of their weakness towards your benefit. Create infrastructure such as Tor to web activities and all those things, and ensure those people who are these pedophile or involved in these kind of activities uses your infrastructure for their activities. It might not be beneficial to catch them immediately, but create something, spread for a long time, and then run a larger operation to do that. So I would say, to conclude the answer for your question is that at this point of time, monitoring is definitely a great step where this platform is launched. You definitely a lot of law enforcement agencies would need to go multiple steps ahead to be ahead of these criminals and ability to attribute and catch them.
So this should be just a beginning. That's what.
Absolutely.
And
it's a great beginning. I would say it's a great beginning, and this should be definitely build up on that. And I'm sure within in years to come, we will see a great response to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You like that's the next step of Grapnel. Okay.
Absolutely.
So basically, the technologically supported crimes need to be prevented with the support of technologically advanced solution. That is the
Correct.
basic what the fundamental principle behind what the invention of these kind of solutions.
Right.
So thanks, Muslim. It was an extensive discussion. We got a lot of information and informative, informative ideas from your side. So thank you so much for being with us today, and looking forward to what associate with you in the future initiatives.
Most welcome. Most. I think it's a privilege for me to be associated with this event. Thanks for the team from the Hac'KP and Cyberdome Kerala Police to invite me for such a platform. And I'm really happy to be here and sharing my thoughts. I'll be happy to assist anybody else who would need any kind of input from my side. I'll be happy to provide that as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Muslim, for extending your support, and thank you.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
As we all are aware, Kerala Police has launched the flagship product Grapnel 1.0 today to help law enforcement agencies to combat the threats associated with dark web. This solution is an outcome of a teamwork for the last 5 months. I would say this solution is an end result of Hac'KP 2021. So, how do you think the Hac'KP 2021 or the Grapnel solution will impact the future of policing on the dark web?
Is much more than the policing side, Adarsh. If you look at most of the innovations of this nature happened by the defense organization or a law enforcement or a research organization or from an academic point of view. They are the one who actually define the standards and say these are the ways we can do it or tools they come out of on that. But unfortunately, we have not seen much from an academic side or anywhere which is in the mainstream where it can be consumed by an enterprise. It's a great initiative by the Kerala Police Cyberdome taking in and saying that identifying and recognizing this as a major problem area and finding a solution and tool which can be consumed maybe at a later stages once the LIA organizations start doing it to the enterprises also. And Kerala Police always, if you look at the recent drone research organization, that is a very, very proactive step, considering that this is a threat which is going to happen. So I know this is not the first year we are doing it. For the couple of last years, we've done this on cybersecurity especially. It's a great work to the community. Kudos for that.
Yeah. So that is the reason why the Kerala Police is always at the top position when it comes to the technology adoption.
Very true, and it's a commendable initiatives they have taken.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Sunil. So certainly the Grapnel would be the starting of a new era for the law enforcement agencies to start with the dark web monitoring or the dark web intelligence.
Yeah, we are all looking forward to collaborate further and support this initiative all through.
Sure, absolutely, Sunil. So thank you for being with us today, and we would like to get your guidance and support in the future initiatives also. Thank you, Sunil.
As always, Adarsh, and thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
We organized Hac'KP 2021 intending to support the law enforcement activities related to dark web. As an outcome of Hac'KP 2021, we have launched a particular solution or a promising solution named Grapnel 1.0, which is going to help the law enforcement agencies in dealing with the dark web crimes. Every year, similar problems will be identified, which becomes the theme for the Hac'KP Hackathon. The collaboration of different talents along with the law enforcement officials would help to deliver the best outcomes. Vikram, in your opinion, how do hackathons like Hac'KP allow the law enforcement agencies to tackle the ever-evolving cyber threats?
I think, or I think forums or conferences like Hac'KP are a massive, massive, massive help, because like you said, they bring together the talents and the capabilities of both public and private sector. Individuals who want to volunteer their time, but individuals are extremely talented on one side versus the judicial powers that law enforcement has, and bring them together, not only to share knowledge about different actors, share knowledge about different forums, but they also share information about how certain actions were taken against, or how certain correlations were done. So one can actually explain how an investigation was performed, and maybe somebody can come up with sharing ideas on how the efficiency of that same process can be improved. So this synergy of private individuals as well as public sector individuals is extremely necessary, and no matter how high a frequency we try to do these conferences with, they will still be in short supply. So I truly applaud Hac'KP for organizing this and bringing everybody to the same table. At the same time, we can share methodologies, partners, data sources, and like you said, the ever-evolving stream of information that's coming in from the cyberspace itself. Now, you mentioned Grapnel. I think it's a wonderful step towards what we've already been talking about earlier today, which is getting a tool that helps law enforcement gain that insight into what is happening in the underground forums, be able to search for keywords, be able to generate alerts based on keywords. So if an actor wants to sell something in a particular region, or if he's trying to perform some activity against drug distribution, I mean, a law enforcement agency can subscribe to such alerts, can be aware of whenever something new comes up related to one of their cases. So this is an extremely, extremely powerful tool, and I'm hoping that law enforcement kind of adapts to using these in a much more regular basis, and I can't wait to hear about some good cases which get resolved thanks to such tools.
That is absolutely right, Vikram, because the advancement of law enforcement agencies is highly essential for the security of society and each one of us. Definitely, the Grapnel 1.0 is just a beginning.
Oh, I agree. I'm sure that next year we might be talking about Grapnel 2.0, which might have some more features in it, but this is such a positive step towards enabling law enforcement and society to be able to tackle some of these crimes which are being perpetuated through these underground forums.
Yeah, because the continual improvement is a key factor for each and every system.
You're absolutely correct, there, Adarsh. We can never consider the generation of a tool to be fully complete. I'm sure by next year we'll have so many more underground forums which are conducting this dark web business. I'm sure that there will be business being conducted in different languages, which might need some translations. And I'm sure that by next year we might even have some more insight into existing underground forums, just because maybe law enforcement has been able to gain access into these highly trusted platforms as well. So the breadth of the data sources will always be increasing, because attackers will always find new places to store their data, and law enforcement will keep chasing them. But at the same time, from a utility standpoint, I'm sure there will be enhancements to every single tool that we guys create, and I'm looking forward to 2.0 already.
Definitely, Vikram. Thanks, Vikram, for sharing your knowledge with us today, and we request your continued support in all the future initiatives.
Well, thank you for having me, Adarsh, and the team behind Hac'KP. It's been an honor, and as always, if there's anything that we can do to assist, we are always here for law enforcement. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Vikram. Now, we come to the end of Hac'KP 2021 exclusive call-in show. Grapnel 1.0 is a reality now. This will help the law enforcement agencies to effectively ensure safety in society and cyberspace from the threats of dark web crimes. As our guest stated, this solution is highly required in the interconnected digital world. Predicting the most unpredictable events is the crucial factor to the success of any intelligence system. In that context, Grapnel is going to create history in the dark web intelligence domain. I would like to take this opportunity to extend our sincere gratitude to our participants, mentors, partners, and organizers who have contributed to Hac'KP 2021 in one way or the other. Without their support, we would not have reached this stage. Finally, thanks to the viewers who are watching this show from different parts of the world. As I said before, this is just the beginning. A lot more can be expected in the coming days. Please stay tuned to Hac'KP official website and social media channels. Until we meet next time, stay safe and take care.